Welcome to Speaking of Pets.
We're the Novotny sisters from Cleveland, Ohio.
I'm Dr. Alice Novotny Jeromin, a board-certified veterinary dermatologist.
And I'm not. I'm Janet Novotny King, the doctor's sister, podcast co-host, pet owner, rescuer, and lover.
We're here to provide pet owners with science-based information to help them be the best pet parents they can be.
Here's today's episode, created just for you and your pets.
This episode of Speaking of Pets podcast is sponsored by Froggy's Golf Ball Retrieval. Don't use a mulligan. Let Froggies clean up your ponds while the golfers clean up their game.
Hey everyone, welcome to Speaking of Pets. I'm Dr. Alice Novotny Jeromin and...
I'm Janet Novotny King. I'm not the doctor, my sister is, and we're here to help you with science-based information to become the best pet owner and lovers that you can be. So, Al, who do we have today?
What did I buy you a year ago last Christmas?
Thank you. You bought me a subscription to a wonderful website called ConsumerLab.
Now,
and it is amazing. And I have to be honest, Dr. Cooperman, my sister is a groupie. I'm just going to be honest.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
I'll get a call and she'll say, you know what they said on Consumer Labs? And I'm like, no, but you know what they said in People magazine? So anyway.
Okay. Well, first of all,
Big difference, yeah.
the reason I love Consumer Labs. Okay. For example, I was at Walgreens the other day, and I was just strolling down the vitamin aisle. Oh my gosh. If I were going to get some fish oil for my dog or myself, or melatonin, or taurine, or milk thistle, which one do I know is any good? So we have Dr. Tod Cooperman, who is the founder of ConsumerLab. I call it ConsumerLab.com. And I think you founded it in 1999, right, Dr. Cooperman?
That's right, yep.
And it's, from what I understand, of course, he'll tell us more about it, ConsumerLab just randomly will pull a bottle like Centrum or, whatever, or Nature's Bounty Vitamin E off the shelf and test it to make sure it's got what it says it should have in it. Plus, what shouldn't it have? Does it have toxins, heavy metals, cadmium, iron, lead? Is there too much sodium in the product? I mean, nobody is safeguarding these supplements for us because FDA doesn't do that. They do prescription drugs. So we are so lucky that ConsumerLab is doing something like this.
But they also do food, which is just fascinating to me. That to me,
Yes.
I think is amazing because we really don't know what's in there. We put a lot of trust into manufacturers. So Todd, how did all this get started? Tell us more.
Yeah, how'd you start out in this?
Yeah, well, thanks for your interest. I'm an MD, but I got involved in this over 27 years ago. In 1994, there was a law passed. It was known as DSHEA, and it basically, in a nutshell, allowed manufacturers of supplements to start making claims on their products, and it also put supplements. It wasn't clear on how it should be regulated. It put it under the food category rather than the drug category. So when you walk down those aisles and you see a lot of over-the-counter drugs, aspirin kind of stuff, Tylenol, and a lot of other things, this is not that. Even though it might be, nearby, this is a whole different ballgame, regulated to a lesser degree than what you see in the over-the-counter medication. Certainly less than you see in the prescription drug area.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happened in the 90s is there was a huge rush to the market, all kinds of supplements being sold. Mostly herbal supplements were popular back then. You might remember ginkgo biloba for your memory, echinacea for your cold, all that stuff. And some journalists started, just buying some, testing them in simple ways, and finding all kinds of problems. And so I saw that there was a real need from a consumer health perspective to really understand which of these products have what they claim, which don't, which might be, a problem. And so I decided to start ConsumerLab, and I brought on one of the few researchers at the FDA who was actually looking at supplements, and they were only looking in a kind of a firefighting way, If people were dying from something, then they would take a look. So grabbed him, and we started ConsumerLab in 99. I think the first thing we tested was ginkgo biloba, and then we, then multivitamins, and then we moved on and on. So now we've tested pretty much every major category, probably 95% of popular types of supplements, and then we moved into healthy foods. Really just looking at people, at products that people take because they think it's going to do something good for them.
Right.
So in addition to all these supplements from, milk thistle and curcumin and, magnesium, we're also looking at foods like psyllium for fiber, and dark chocolate even, because people believe that might help them, or cocoa, flaxseed, all kinds of oils, etc. And so we find, in general, about 1 out of 5 products fails our tests because, as you said, we kind of buy them off the shelf. And what's scary is that the number of products that probably really would fail out there is higher than what we find, because we now have over 100,000 paying subscribers, like yourselves, and then a couple of 100,000 more through universities and libraries who subscribe. And these people actually, we ask them what products are you using. Whenever we test a new category of products, we ask them, and we focus on those. And these people tend to be fairly, educated, more educated than the average consumer. So they're leading us generally to better brands, better, more established brands. When companies in the supplement area go out, and they've begun doing this recently, maybe the last 4 or 5 years, and looking at competitors being sold on Amazon, because there's a lot of competition now to the major brands, on Amazon.
Right.
Where you can get all kinds of fly-by-night companies. Also, Walmart.com is even worse, I think. There are even counterfeit supplements. I mean, when I first encountered that, I was like, who's going to bother to actually replicate that bottle and that pill? But they are. So there are counterfeits being sold on these sites.
And as a consumer, they look like the brand.
Yeah. That's what they're meant to do.
It's really scary.
Yeah. It's not all that common, but if it's a very popular product, there may be a counterfeit out there. And so when these companies will go out there and look, they're finding like 50% of the products, that are being sold on Amazon are not containing what they claim. So, so we fill that void. There are other groups that are doing third-party, testing. There's USP, there's NSF. Those are the 2 big ones. And what's different between us and them is that they work directly with the manufacturers on all of that. And typically, I mean, there might be some spot testing where they buy it off the shelf, but we always buy it off the shelf because we want to see what's the quality when a consumer gets it. Because we've seen situations where we buy, say, a probiotic and the organisms are dead because it was kept in a hot warehouse somewhere. While the manufacturer, if they're sending a sample right to the testing lab, it might look fine.
Yeah.
So I think the problem is greater than what even we see, and we see plenty of problems. And then when it comes to pet supplements, that's a whole different ballpark.
Boy, I'll say.
Whole ball game, because the regulation there is even more undefined, more lax. I talked to the FDA about this, I don't know, a while ago, over 10 years ago, and I remember asking, like, how many people are actually at the FDA who oversee, pet supplements? And it was like, maybe there are a couple of people here who do that. It wasn't very clear, 2 or 3 people, maybe. So I think you really have to you're putting all your faith in these companies to do the right thing, not only with, human supplements, but even more, I believe, with the pet supplements.
I can't believe when some of my clients, I'm retired now, but I still get emails from clients and they will show me a product. What do you think of this? And it's just appalling, some of the claims that the products make and the big flashy label. And of course, the first thing I do is I go on my ConsumerLab subscription and I'll say, okay, you want to do glucosamine chondroitin, or let's do probiotic. Because there was a study, even in veterinary medicine, that 90% of those probiotics over the counter didn't have in them what they claimed. And I think the 2, actually, that ConsumerLab, with ProViable and Visbiome, those were your approval ones, and same in veterinary medicine. Those are kind of the top of the tier. But there's so many others below that just didn't make the grade, and people don't know that. They think they're buying this for their dog to help with their diarrhea, and good luck.
Right. And we're also looking at cost,
Yes.
why not, right? So if you can get the same, vitamin or mineral or whatever, for less, why not? And these are really not necessarily inexpensive. They're not necessarily expensive ingredients in many cases. So unfortunately, when you're making it into a dog treat, that's where it gets more expensive. But if you can just put an oil on something or sprinkle something on, and get away with that, you could save 90%.
And CBD products now, both for humans and for pets, that's just like gone crazy.
Yeah, and we find all kinds of issues, with CBD as well. We've tested CBD supplements for pets.
Yeah.
So that's why we're here. And the areas where we cover things specifically for pets are with CBD, multivitamins, fish oil, chondroitin glucosamine,
Taurine.
MSM.
Yeah.
Taurine, right.
So, Dr. Cooperman, walk us through the process, which I love, by the way, as a user, that you do send those surveys out. What do you want us to test? Because you feel a sense of ownership. And, the consumer's tuned into the market on, what's hot and what's coming up. So I love that process, and that's how you find out what to test. So say you pick something, a chapstick, I'm making it up. Then what happens? You have little
well, then we
shoppers?
analyze, the survey results.
Yeah.
And actually, frankly, AI is very helpful at doing that.
I bet.
We don't do it all by hand. And we pick out which ones are the most popular, among our readers. I mean, obviously, we can't hit everything that everyone wants to see tested, but we hit what most people want to see tested. And so, depending on how big the category is, I mean, we'll typically get anywhere from like 1,000 to like 4,000 responses, in terms of what people want. And then we do an annual survey just to figure out what categories we should be testing.
Yeah.
And there we get about 9,000, responses.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So then we go out and buy the products, and we have to make sure we're not buying a counterfeit. That we're buying it correctly, and it's helpful for your listeners to know that, like on Amazon, when you buy it, you should look to the right where it says sold by, and if it says Amazon.com, that's generally okay. It means that they are an authorized seller of that brand. But if it doesn't say the name of the brand, but instead it says like, Dan's Garage, or whatever it is, obviously it's not coming from the manufacturer. It's not an authorized dealer. It's someone who went out there and bought it themselves, kept it in their house or something, and now they're reselling it. So we're very careful not to do that. We want to make sure if we're going to spend all this time and money testing something, and a consumer should, have the same concern. Always look to, sold by. So we buy multiple samples for each product. Then we send it out for all kinds of testing to different laboratories. The only testing we do in-house is just disintegration testing. We want to make sure that all tablets and caplets break apart properly. But all the other tests are so sophisticated and complicated and different for each category that it doesn't make sense for us to do that in-house. So our head of tests of R&D, he's a pharmacologist, toxicologist. He's very familiar with all the labs out there and gets them. And then we send them overnight FedEx to all the different labs for the different things we're testing.
Golfers always swing for the greens, but they don't always hit them. Every year, millions of innocent golf balls are recklessly sliced, chunked, and hooked without any consequence. Golf balls can have a significant impact on the environment if not properly removed from ponds and water hazards, harming aquatic life, contaminating water, disrupting habitats, and aggravating golfers. Plus, golf balls do not biodegrade and can take 100 to 1,000 years to break down. Once they do degrade, they release microplastics, zinc compounds, and rubber fragments. That's why Froggy's Golf Ball Retrieval Service is so valuable to the sustainability of golf courses throughout the Midwest. Froggy's efficient retrieval system helps reduce environmental contamination, waste, conserves resources, and enhances the golfer's experience. Plus, they offer financial benefits. Froggy's pays per ball for any golf ball pulled from your ponds, no matter the condition. Don't use a mulligan. Let Froggy's clean up your ponds while the golfers clean up their game.
Hi everyone, I'm Larry. Some of you know me as Grandpa Larry, and I run Larry's Animal Safari on YouTube, where we share sweet and educational videos about baby gorillas, zoo animals, and the amazing teams who care for them. If you love animals of all kinds, I'd love to have you join us. You'll meet little ones like Jamila and Kayembe, learn how zoo families grow, and enjoy real moments that bring joy and curiosity to animal lovers everywhere. Just search Larry's Animal Safari on YouTube or click the link in the show notes. New videos go up weekly, and each one supports awareness for animal care and conservation. Thanks to Speaking of Pets podcast for all they do. Now, let's get back to the show.
So, Dr. Cooperman, when it says distributed by, that always worries me too, because that means that company didn't make it. They're getting it from somewhere else and selling it, right?
That's right. It'll say manufactured by or distributed by, and distributed by means exactly what you said. Someone else is making it, and there are plenty of big companies out there that are really like just manufacturers of supplements. You go to them, you tell them what you want, and they rank it out. Or they're the more shady ones are companies that actually make it, and then they just try to find people who will sell it for them under different names. You see that more with weight loss supplements, things like that.
Yeah. The other thing I like about your service is, like, take example melatonin. If I pull up melatonin, it tells me what it does, what it's used for, does it work, the tests that were done on it, the ones that you found to be true to what it said it had in it and passed all your tests, and looked at cost and also safety and drug interactions, not only with drugs, but also with other supplements. And I think that's important too.
Yeah, thanks. We spent a lot of time on that. We have a whole staff that just does, reading, studying the latest studies on all the things that we test, writing updates about that. I'm involved in that as well. I'll give an example, like just it was yesterday or this morning, I don't even remember, it was a study about CBD for dogs and stress that we wrote about. And what's interesting, and what a lot of people misunderstand when they're looking at a study, first of all, they see a study and it's on the NIH website, they think, but that's just PubMed, right? That's just a collection of all studies that are out there that are kind of centralized by the government under something called PubMed on the through the NIH, and they think this is like a major study, a government study, and they're like, the NIH said this, or and meanwhile it's just it could be any little journal that just is being copied, put onto PubMed, and then they'll just look at an abstract, and if it's this often happens more with manufacturer based studies, paid for by manufacturers. I hear that noise again, whatever. They often, and you probably know this from all the research you do, but they twist the results so badly often in those abstracts where once you look at the actual study, and we always look at the actual study, you'll see that there really wasn't much of a benefit, or the way there was no significant difference statistically or meaningful difference, or the way they twist it. And so it's really a kind of a minefield, not just what's in the bottle, what we're testing, but really what they're presenting about it in many of these studies.
It's interesting you said that, because I read probably a month ago exactly what you're talking about chemo drugs for cancer. And one study showed that, well, really they're not working as well as they're professed to be. And I was like, whoa, is that kind of scary? It's almost like you need to take a course in how to read and get through these studies. And even though they're peer reviewed, I don't even know that makes a difference to me anymore.
Right. Peer review definitely helps, but there's certainly also a lot of journals that aren't even peer reviewed, especially a lot of like supplement testing that goes on.
And you guys test raw materials too, don't you?
We used to test more raw materials, but we've stuck more to the the finished products, the supplements that people buy.
Yeah.
We do have a program where any company can come to us and say, we'd like to get our melatonin tested by you, and they pay a fee.
Okay.
And we say, that's fine. We're going to test it just like every other melatonin product we test. You
Yeah.
can't send it to us. You have no, input into how we're doing what we're doing. And here are the results. And if it passes, great. It's just another good product that we found. And, we put it into our report, and we note that it came in through our voluntary quality certification program.
What happens if it fails?
If those fail,
what
they're
happens?
informed because it's the voluntary thing. Like, we inform them what we found, and hopefully they'll fix the problem. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Sometimes it's a real eye opener, and they'll question, what we found, and we'll explain it to them. Actually, that brings up another point. When one of the products, sorry about that. When one of the products that we have selected for testing, which is most of them, fails, our protocol is then to send it to a second laboratory just for confirmation, which has kept us out of trouble and away from any lawsuits for 27 years, because you think we'd be, bombarded by companies suing us over.
I was going to ask you about that, right?
Yeah. But I mean, our stuff is very buttoned down. It's like, it failed in this lab, we sent it to this lab, second lab, failed there too. Here are the results. And we keep an unopened sample of every product that we test, and we tell the manufacturers, we would be happy to send it to a third lab. If you want to pay the third lab, and we've agreed on a lab, you can do that. And whatever they find, you promise to publish those findings. We'll do the same. And then they back down.
Yeah.
So we have all these, over the years, we've come up with a lot of protocols that kind of keeps things moving forward.
Well, ConsumerLabs, it's sort of like the good housekeeping seal of approval. If someone independently sends you their product, and then they can advertise, right, that it passed your...
Yeah, but they can use our seal on their product, and it'll be noted on our site. They can mention in their, in their press releases. Yeah. In fact, Good Housekeeping, actually, and ARP have come to us sometimes with products that want to advertise on their sites, and have asked us, to check it first before they'll allow it to advertise. Not always, but sometimes.
What has been one of the most surprising results of your lab tests?
Oh, yeah.
Proof.
I'm just curious, like an odd thing.
Yeah. So there's so
you don't
many
have to
products.
mention the product, but
Yeah. I mean, we've tested over 7,000 products, and so we've 1 out of 5 failed. So that's a lot of problems that we've found. I think some of the most surprising are ones where even the companies had no idea. So like this hasn't happened in a while, but pills can be like tablets can be made too hard, so that it won't even break apart.
Right.
And companies may not be aware of that. We don't see as much of that as we used to see. But I remember like a vitamin C pill that we would just not, wouldn't dissolve. And we've seen this with other products. We literally had to get a hammer, and actually hammer it to get this thing to open up, turn it into something that we could test. And it had all the vitamin C it claimed. It's just you would get none of that benefit.
Right. It would pass right through. Yeah.
I feel like that's every big capsule I take.
The gelatin capsules, the soft gels, those generally are fine. It's just these big tablets or caplets that may be too hard or like overly coated. And just while I'm mentioning coating, people often ask us which pills can we break apart if I want to save money or whatever. Can buy a bigger one, break in, and it's often fine to do that, except if it's enteric coated.
Right.
Or enteric coated or
time release.
Thank you. I know you have a pharmacy background also.
Yeah, I do. It's funny because I was out of protein powder, and we were going to go up to Walgreens. I thought, wait a minute, I got to check ConsumerLab. And the sad part was the majority of brands they carried were not approved. And I was lucky to find one because the one that was approved, and I'm not going to mention it, had too much sodium in it. And let me tell you this, Dr. Cooperman, it was a sad day when Janet and I found out our Dove chocolate was loaded with cadmium. Remember, Janet?
Yes. I'm still eating it.
I'm still eating it.
Guilty.
Just
Because it tastes good.
Yeah, well, we do find all these issues with heavy metal contamination and things like that. But the truth is, if you're eating it, like you said, occasionally,
Yeah.
you're going to be okay. But
Yeah.
where you see the problem is when people are religiously eating, consuming something every day because they think it's because they think it's good for them or something. And so, like, I remember seeing a study. Well, it wasn't published by us, but it was a group that had. Oh no, it was news reports of some people who were drinking green tea instead of water.
Oh.
And green tea is full of fluoride. I mean, a fluoride, little fluoride is a good thing. It strengthens an animal, things like that. Bones, you need it. But they were getting so much they had fluorosis, and which makes your teeth brittle and your bones brittle. And these people were really suffering from fluorosis because they were overdoing it on green tea. And we see these stories, I'd say every month or two. Someone is just going gung-ho on some kind of supplement and getting themselves into trouble.
Well, natural does not mean safe.
No.
And whenever someone sees the word natural, they think it can't hurt them.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Right.
I tell this story. My dentist had his golfing buddy. His wife was dying, and no one could figure out what was wrong with her. Seriously, this was in the Akron area. And here she was going to this health food store and buying seaweed, eating seaweed all the time. Well, she had arsenic poisoning. And the FBI got involved because they thought the husband was trying to kill her. No, seriously. And Dr. Grafe told me, thank God he had all these receipts from when she went to this health food store and bought all this seaweed. She was killing herself.
Well, we had a friend who was eating sushi every day for lunch, thinking healthy, and he got mercury poisoning.
Right.
And luckily, the doctor had mercury poisoning, so knew it was like a rash and all this stuff.
Oh, my gosh.
Right. So, you just, anyway, everything in mind.
Yeah, that's why we do a review of seaweed products.
Oh, good.
Seaweed
Good.
snacks. We have a review of all kinds of, nori and other types of kelp, which also can be very high in iodine, which can be a problem. So you see that happen as well. So...
I have, in my profession, I remember having a woman who was fostering for one of the rescue groups. She was, and she got a puppy she was fostering, and she was feeding raw venison. And of course, no calcium there. The dog developed rickets. It's just wacky stuff that people think, oh, it's all natural. That's what they eat in the wild. Well, not really, okay? They eat the bones and the flesh and everything else and the connective tissue and the blood, whereas you're just hawking off the venison meat and giving it to this poor dog. And that's my thing. Pets are slaves to what we give them. So it's on us when we're giving them the wrong stuff. You can decide if you want to take seaweed with all that arsenic in it. But please don't give it to your dog or cat. They can't.
They don't have a choice.
They're just going to take it. Yeah.
Right. It's just interesting with the arsenic. So the arsenic in seaweeds is inorganic, mostly inorganic arsenic, which is the toxic form of arsenic. When fish ingest it, they convert a lot of it into organic arsenic, which is not. It's also arsenic, I think, not as toxic. And then as it goes up the food chain, as those fish get eaten by other fish, that happens again and again. So larger fish actually have very little arsenic, but they have a lot of mercury because that mercury also gets passed up the chain and does not get changed into something safer.
Oh, darn.
And so that's why we test canned tuna, which... Actually, that's when my dog, I think, was his happiest day was when we finished testing the sardines and tuna, and he got the leftovers.
Yum.
So,
that would go over really well here.
Yeah, right. Janet's got 2 cats, so
2 cats and a dog.
Golfers always swing for the greens, but they don't always hit them. Every year, millions of innocent golf balls are recklessly sliced, chunked, and hooked without any consequence. Golf balls can have a significant impact on the environment if not properly removed from ponds and water hazards, harming aquatic life, contaminating water, disrupting habitats, and aggravating golfers. Plus, golf balls do not biodegrade and can take 100 to 1,000 years to break down. Once they do degrade, they release microplastics, zinc compounds, and rubber fragments. That's why Froggy's golf ball retrieval service is so valuable to the sustainability of golf courses throughout the Midwest. Froggy's efficient retrieval system helps reduce environmental contamination, waste, conserves resources, and enhances the golfer's experience. Plus, they offer financial benefits. Froggy's pays per ball for any golf ball pulled from your ponds, no matter the condition. Don't use a mulligan. Let Froggy's clean up your ponds while the golfers clean up their game.
Hi everyone, I'm Larry. Some of you know me as Grandpa Larry, and I run Larry's Animal Safari on YouTube, where we share sweet and educational videos about baby gorillas, zoo animals, and the amazing teams who care for them. If you love animals of all kinds, I'd love to have you join us. You'll meet little ones like Jamila and Kayembe, learn how zoo families grow, and enjoy real moments that bring joy and curiosity to animal lovers everywhere. Just search Larry's Animal Safari on YouTube or click the link in the show notes. New videos go up weekly, and each one supports awareness for animal care and conservation. Thanks to Speaking of Pets podcast for all they do. Now, let's get back to the show.
So what trends in the supplement and wellness business concern you? Like going forward? Like I think of all these the I call them diet injections. I don't know what they're called, but
Oh, the SGPT. Yeah.
So what concerns you most moving forward? Are there things coming on the market or?
I think things are coming on the market so fast, faster than ever, promoted faster than ever, right?
Yeah.
With all the social media, things can, in one night can, become huge. And it's hard to keep up with that
Yeah.
because this is what I do day in and day out for the last 27 years, plus our whole staff. We have a dozen people, and we see things almost every week that we've never heard of. Not necessarily a whole new type of supplement, but
Right.
certainly a new brand, a new formulation. And these formulations are rarely tested,
Very.
because it's expensive also. So they throw together a lot of things that sound good, and then they sell it as a formula. And there's no evidence that these things really work together. So, the amount of misinformation, untested things that come out there, the ability to buy things from brands that are kind of really fly by night because they're able to get onto Amazon. Those are things that are of concern. Interestingly, the bigger companies, it's not like we have a great relationship with bigger companies, but they do have a lot more to lose than smaller companies. They tend to do a better job. I can't say any particular brand has always passed our tests. We found problems here and there with different brands, but they tend to be a little better, better quality. Because again, I do think they have more to lose. Plus, they probably have more experience. So even they now are asking for more scrutiny of this marketplace, because they know they have a lot to lose.
Sure.
So these companies that can just fly right in, the bar to entering the supplement market, is like at ground level. You don't have to prove anything. Your facility has to be FDA approved, but your products don't have to be FDA approved.
Wow.
You can put in any amount of any of these ingredients that you want. You don't have to say that it's over like some kind of upper tolerable limit, and there are these limits. Certainly for people, there are the upper intake, tolerable intake levels, these ULs, which I think should be right on that label next to the, what percent of them you're already getting. Are you actually going above the tolerable limit?
Yeah.
But they can blow that out of the water, and
The counterfeit products is what scares me, because as a consumer, they look really good. I know someone was actually sent to jail. He was producing counterfeit heartworm preventatives. and selling them on Amazon. And, as a veterinarian, when I tell people, oh, you've got to get this dog on heartworm prevention, oh, I'll just buy it, wherever. And I'm thinking, yeah, but I don't know that wherever is not counterfeit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's almost like you get what you pay for. But boy, pet products, that would be a whole new genre for you, because I really worry about that.
Yeah, we had looked into dog foods for a while, but it was
Oh
just,
my God, that's
God.
another one.
There's no
was so-
regulation.
yeah, it was so difficult, and there was no.
I was going to suggest that, because one study showed 83% of what's in pet food does not agree with what's on the label. And
Oh,
to
really?
me, yeah, that is very scary. Yeah.
Interesting.
All these people that think their dog is chicken allergic. Well, I tell them, sure, you can go read those labels, but there's an 83% chance if the label doesn't have chicken on it, that there's chicken in it.
Huh.
Yeah. I don't think there's much regulated there, Dr. Cooperman. Seriously. I mean it.
I
In
don't
the
think there's
prescription
ever-
diets, there is. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very hard for us to find any kind of goalposts for what something was supposed to have. And that's what makes it difficult. We always need to find out, what's allowable, what's expected in this product, and it's hard to know that with the dog foods.
Well, and look at years ago with the melamine crisis that they had, that in combination with the other chemical together were putting dogs in kidney failure, and also babies in China were ingesting that in formula, and they were going in kidney failure. But I'll tell you, the thing that broke that open was one of the veterinarians at IMS paid attention to the cats that they used for palatability testing of food, and saw that they were getting sick, and thank God had the presence of mind to check on that, or that would have still been going on.
Wow. Yeah. That was a cheap form of protein, is what it was.
Yeah, exactly. It was.
Yeah, it wasn't even it looked like protein on test.
Yeah.
I mean, when you get into testing, our people are experts on the analytical methods. There are all kinds of tests. There are tests that really will go down to the molecular level and really to tell you what's in there. And there are others that might just rely on color, for example.
Oh my gosh.
Color. And even if you were to look at there's a site called Alibaba where they sell everything, and raw materials are purchased there. And it's very interesting to see the prices on raw materials, like the same kind of raw material that's approved by this simple test, this colorimetric test, just based on color, versus it's approved by an HPLC test. So you get very different prices because it's a very different quality that you get there. And companies, the FDA leaves it up to the manufacturer to determine what method they want to use. So you're really putting a lot of faith in the manufacturer.
So
It's like the fox guarding the hen house, really.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of companies do a good job. You can get good, and and we certainly find plenty of good products, and sometimes even very good cheap products. I mean, I said that Walmart.com. I'm very leery of what you get there, but inside Walmart, if you go in there, what's their big brand, their house brand, like that's
Kirkland is Costco, so it's
right.
I don't know.
I forget the name.
Up and Up is Target.
Yeah. I'm just forgetting, but some of their products are fine, and super inexpensive, like a good multivitamins we've found, and certainly the Costco Kirkland stuff, often very good and inexpensive.
Yeah.
So you don't have to spend a lot, to get a good quality supplement, and sometimes the most expensive.
Yeah.
We see no relationship between price and quality in most categories.
Yeah.
Like fine wines. Just saying.
What?
I said like wines. You don't have to spend a lot to get a good bottle.
Right.
The only row in the grocery store that's more confusing than the supplement aisle is the wine aisle.
Not for me.
Not to you, but I don't drink wine. But that's a pretty label. It's kind of
Most people
do you ever get people that email you about a product and say, "Hey, I was taking this and it made me sick," or they don't contact you? They contact. I don't know who they contact, really.
I mean, they should contact the FDA.
Right.
There's a website that
we
we have
luck.
a link.
Yeah.
We have a link to that for reporting adverse events with supplements. but they do report to us, and we often will put that in our reports also, just to let people know that, like,
I've seen that.
just as a signal. So when we'll put like an update, one of our members mentioned that they were using this product at so and so. We don't know what to make of it yet, but just putting it there.
I love that. I love when I get my little, like this morning, I had something on choline. Yeah. I just love it. And that's why I bought it for Janet, and I bought it for my PhD chemist friend.
Yep.
And I love giving it because I want to give it to people I love so that they can be more knowledgeable. And it's actually a safety thing, and like
I
you
got to
said,
tell you, the Dove chocolate, I almost unsubscribed. I'm like,
I
oh
got
my
2
God.
bags in the fridge, in the rental
know.
fridge right
You
now.
turned me on to that damn Dove chocolate, and it's like my little treat every day. I'm just saying.
It's like in that Heart-to-Heart episode where Freeway was on that new dog food that had a narcotic in it, some addictive thing. See?
She's the only one that remembers that. All right, I have a question.
Yeah.
Is there a question that you wish more people or your users or consumers would ask about supplements or health testing?
Would ask whom?
Would ask Consumer Labs?
Oh, good point.
You see what I'm saying? Like, is there something we're missing as
I
consumers?
mean, we're getting questions all the time, so I don't think there are too many questions that we haven't gotten, but I think the questions that people need to ask, starts with, is this actually going to work for me or my pet, right? With this supplement. And then it's like, well, what's the dose? Sometimes they'll say, oh, take magnesium. Well, how much magnesium, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And then it's like, and which form of magnesium?
Is it
Magnesium.
natural?
Well, is it naturals? Right, that matters. But the forms are important too, right?
Yeah.
And so like when people just say, take this or that, you're not getting all the level of detail that you need. You need to know does it work? Is it safe? What form should I take? What dose should I take? How often should I take it? What shouldn't I take with it? Right? When should I take it? And then which product actually has it in it and isn't doesn't have problems? So it's a lot of questions that a consumer really needs to address when they're buying a supplement.
And in my profession, cost is a big factor because everyone's paying out of pocket. So I would always either go online to Consumer Labs and see which product you guys recommended, compare it to the veterinary brand price wise, because if say Kirkland fish oil was just as great as this DVM Naturals or something, I'm going to get the Kirkland brand for that pet because I'd rather the pet may not get treated due to the cost. So that's where I think Consumer Labs came in so handy for me, because there's a lot of veterinary products that, to be honest, and I'm saying this because I'm older, but I think a lot of the young vets kind of get brainwashed by the marketing of these companies. And that concerns me because I know a lot of things that are true now we said weren't true 10 years ago, or vice versa. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Yeah. And we test professional brands as well. Certainly on the human side, there's like Pure Encapsulations and Thorn. These are some of the professional brands.
Yep.
And they are more expensive for sure. And they're not necessarily better.
Right.
Right. I would say in general, they're better than average, but they're not necessarily worth, always paying a premium for.
Dr. Cooperman, I got to ask you, we ask all of our guests this question. What is your pet peeve? And it could be a human pet peeve, a pet peeve, a partner pet peeve.
Oh boy.
A Westchester pet peeve.
Traffic pet peeve.
Well, that's normal here. That's every day.
Yeah, actually, the thing probably that annoys me the most is it's specific to what we do, is where people write in with just crazy theories that are unfounded, that they read somewhere on the internet, and they're so adamant about it. But interestingly, if sometimes we don't even respond, but if we do, interestingly, they will come down. If you just come back nicely with correct information.
Yeah.
They'll start off so hot and heavy, but they're amenable to information often. But that's probably the most annoying thing is, oh no, not another one of those, you know.
I know. In my profession, you never want to talk raw diet because that's like a whole nother world. I just listen. Janet had an experience. Janet had Lyme and Bartonella, and she would go to some doctors and they, oh, you're one of those Lyme believers. That was
they didn't
absolutely
believe
horrible
me.
for you. Yeah.
And I actually, Dr. Cooper, when I go to a new physician, I kind of start out and then I'll say, so, I had Lyme and Bartonella, and I can tell whether they're a believer or they think you're crazy. And then I have all the blood work from, the lab in California and all this stuff. And I literally have 3 pages of those 5 years of hell when I had it that documents everything that was going on. And then they're kind of, I will say 90% believe, but you'll get the ones that are just skeptical.
That's like the raw meat controversy in veterinary medicine. You just don't bring it up.
I just don't.
Yeah.
I just don't.
But may I just say, we had Dr. Breitschwert on, who's like the Bartonella expert.
Well, Lyme guy. He's the Lyme guy.
NC State, yeah. And he just came out with a new book, and I just started reading it about the involvement of Bartonella in autistic kids. So it's fascinating.
It's just autism in general.
Yeah.
So anyway, anyway,
and that 45% of those parents had some sort of immune-mediated disease, like rheumatoid or something like that. So it's very interesting. Yeah. Dr. Cooperman, we can't thank you enough. I'm a big fan, as I've said 800 times during this. Keep up the great work because I'm reading every week whatever you send me. And Janet, what do you want to add?
I just want to say thank you. I think
you want me to pay for your next year's subscription.
That's right, because it expired. We appreciate the work you do. It's very helpful to the consumer, and you just can be a smarter shopper.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that you appreciate what we're doing. We work hard, so thank you, and thanks for the show and everything.
It's our pleasure.
Wait, Annie has to say hi. Thanks, everybody, for listening, and give your dogs and cats a kiss for us.
Golfers always swing for the greens, but they don't always hit them. Every year, millions of innocent golf balls are recklessly sliced, chunked, and hooked without any consequence. Golf balls can have a significant impact on the environment if not properly removed from ponds and water hazards, harming aquatic life, contaminating water, disrupting habitats, and aggravating golfers. Plus, golf balls do not biodegrade and can take 100 to 1,000 years to break down. Once they do degrade, they release microplastics, zinc compounds, and rubber fragments. That's why Froggy's golf ball retrieval service is so valuable to the sustainability of golf courses throughout the Midwest. Froggy's efficient retrieval system helps reduce environmental contamination, waste, conserves resources, and enhances the golfer's experience. Plus, they offer financial benefits. Froggy's pays per ball for any golf ball pulled from your ponds, no matter the condition. Don't use a mulligan. Let Froggy's clean up your ponds while the golfers clean up their game.
Hey, thanks for watching.
And listening.
We like likes.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can follow us on social media at Speaking of Pets.
And give your pets a big kiss from the Novotny sisters.
This episode of Speaking of Pets has been sponsored by Froggy's Golf Ball Retrieval. Don't use a mulligan. Let Froggy's clean up your ponds while the golfers clean up their game. The Speaking of Pets podcast is an SLA video production.